Welcome in. It is time for another edition of Dolphins Today. I am your host, Jake Riepma, and we've got a lot to talk about, so we're not going to waste any more time. It's the latest Dolphins injury report, and I would describe this week's injury report as somewhat of a roller coaster, right? So follow me on this one. There's been some tough news to handle, but there's been some good news as well. I'm a good news kind of guy. Let's focus on some positives. So we start with Isaiah Wynn, the offensive lineman for the Dolphins, did leave the game against the Giants on Sunday, but he returned and he only missed one snap. So he has been one of the best left guards in the league this year. And all indications point to him being able to play against the Panthers and continue to help that offensive line, which, speaking of roller coasters, the offensive line has been significantly more good than bad, but they have at times really struggled. But collectively, you take a look at the depth chart there, collectively, of course, Teron Armstead on injured reserve. They lost him against Buffalo. Kendall Lamb has filled in admirably. Isaiah Wynn, the left guard, all reports indicate that he is going to play on Sunday against the Panthers. Connor Williams sat out practice today with that groin. Remember, he sat out practice all week last week leading up to the game against the Giants, but still was able to give it a go. So we'll continue to keep you updated on that, but he did sit out practice today. That's a big one. He's kind of been the catalyst of this offensive line as well. Now, like I said, it is a roller coaster. Good news, now some bad news. A tough loss for the NFL's best offense. Really, an historically good offense in terms of the Dolphins compiling over 2,500 yards of total offense in their first 5 games. And a big reason for that production, Achane, and it became official earlier today that he will be placed on injured reserve. Now, what that means, the Dolphins were already kind of leaning towards this, thinking that he'll be out several weeks, but with him going on injured reserve, that means he'll miss at least the next 4 games. Tom Pelissero reporting that he'll miss multiple weeks with that knee injury that he suffered in Sunday's win over the Giants. But again, we'll focus on some good news here. We'll keep it a little bit positive. It's believed not to be season ending, which is a huge nod in the right direction for Dolphins fans, because anytime you start talking about knee injuries, it gets a little bit scary and a little bit dicey. So Achane, yes, on injured reserve, but not gone for the season. And given where the bye week falls, you'd like to think that he'll get fully healthy, fully rested, and be ready to rejoin an already loaded Dolphins offense. We'll keep you updated on this, and that is why you subscribe to Dolphins Today. Breaking news when it happens. Hey, who was the first to tell you about the impact of the Achane injury? We were yesterday. And then when the Dolphins made a roster move and signed Jake Funk, we pumped out another video. That is why you subscribe, because you never want to miss a moment. Now, the running back room, oddly enough, I would classify as arguably the deepest position group within the Miami Dolphins, especially on offense, because you start talking about the names they have in that running back room. Achane kind of burst onto the scene, kind of came out of nowhere, because when the season started, it was Ahmed that was RB2. Chris Brooks was getting a little bit of play based on how he performed in the preseason. Now, I expect it to be one of those 2 guys to battle for RB2 unless Jeff Wilson's able to come off of injured reserve. Jeff Wilson did practice today, but let's say for the sake of conversation right now, Ahmed and Chris Brooks. Now on the right, we've got Chris Brooks' season stats, but he's a rookie, so also his career stats. He only played in the one game in that 70-point slaughtering of the Denver Broncos. He had 9 carries for 66 yards. Pretty good, but against a really bad Denver Broncos defense. So not sure how much stock we can put into that. Meanwhile, Ahmed, 4th-year pro out of Washington, a decent sample size for his career, 33 games played, 147 carries with 556 yards, the 4 touchdowns on the season. he can be somewhat of a change-up guy, a little bit of that number two when you talk about a 1-2 punch, because obviously Mostert has established himself as RB1. So I have complete confidence in both of those guys. And really the rookie Chris Brooks is kind of appealing because what we've seen from him is such a small sample size, but he excelled in that small sample size. However, of course, you have the caveat that it was against the lowly Denver Broncos. So I say all that because, yes, it hurts losing De'Von Achane, but it is at a position group in which I think the Dolphins can absorb that type of blow. Plus, coupled with the fact that Jeff Wilson Jr. may be coming off IR because he did give it a go in practice this week. So we're going to continue to monitor that situation as well. But the Dolphins' rushing attack has been the best in the National Football League up to this point. So losing Achane hurts, absolutely. But I expect them to continue to excel in that area of offense, and really an opportunity for Mike McDaniel and Frank Smith, for that matter, to prove how they can utilize just about anybody in that offense and have a little bit of a plug-and-play mentality. Next man up mentality. How many times do we hear that throughout the course of any type of football conversation? It's especially true with this Dolphins offense losing De'Von Achane. So I ask you, and you got to be honest here, 3 really good options to step in and fill that RB2 void with the absence of Achane. But I ask you, who should it be? Type SA for Salvon Ahmed, JW for Jeff Wilson, or CB for Chris Brooks. Let me know in the comments. Jeff Wilson eyeing the return is very appealing because we talked about the sample size with Chris Brooks being very, very limited. And then Salvon Ahmed, yes, he's been in the league a couple of years now, and there's a decent statistical data out there. But with Jeff Wilson, his stats really show that he is a proven everyday back in this league. This is from 2022 alone. 176 carries, 860 yards, 5 touchdowns, and almost averaging 5 yards per carry. So again, this is a guy that can step in and fill that RB2 void and be the second part of the two-headed monster with Raheem Mostert that De'Von Achane was in the last 4 games. Jeff Wilson Jr. and Raheem Mostert would both complement each other in that potent, high-scoring attack that the Dolphins had. So I've said it once, and you know what? I will say it again. It hurts. It does. It really does hurt losing De'Von Achane. It's a testament to how good the rookie's been, but this is not time to panic. In fact, we'll just kind of relax a little bit. Relax with the Achane injury news, understanding that there could be some new pieces, new faces in that running back room that are fully capable of stepping in and making an impact right away. In fact, I love this tweet from Barry Jackson, one of the Dolphins beat reporters, because it just gives you a little bit of perspective of who the Dolphins have waiting in the wings to step in, and there are some significant names. So when you think of how much the Dolphins have been bitten by that injury bug, yes, they've been able to survive and weather the storm, but on the flip side of that, the other side of the coin is they're going to get some really good players coming back off of injured reserve in the coming weeks. Jalen Ramsey, of course, De'Von Achane, Teron Armstead, just to name a few. Maybe it's Jeff Wilson, Robert Jones, and River Craycraft, and Eric Ezukama. So all of those are guys that are proven players in the National Football League. So like Barry Jackson is saying here, I'm excited for those guys. Coming up, listen, NFL Power Rankings, they're fun. We enjoy it, but there's a couple of ESPN experts that might be classified as Dolphins believers. Remember we had those guys that were Dolphins haters a couple weeks ago? We're going to talk about some Dolphins believers. We'll tell you exactly who those ESPN experts are. But first, I got to tell you about Prize Picks because I love it. I don't want to use the word addicted, but I'm big time into Prize Picks because it's the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Super simple, super easy. The app is easy to use, and here's how it works. All you're doing is picking against the projected stats. So what do I mean by that? Let's say a player is projected for 50 yards and a half rushing or receiving. You simply pick more or less on what you think that player will achieve. Very, very easy. I do it every week with the Dolphins. You can see right there. I've already got my picks ready for Sunday's game against the Panthers. And you can obviously tell, maybe a little bit biased on this one, but I firmly believe Tua is going to pass for more than his projected stat line of 294.5. And you know what? Tyreek Hill is on a record-setting pace for receiving yards, so I think he'll continue that against a lowly Panthers defense. 91.5 is his stat projection for receiving yards, so I'm going over on that. And I'm going more on that as well. And Adam Thielen, I'm going to go ahead and pick less on his projected receiving yards because I think the Dolphins defense will shut him down. So you simply pick more or less. That's what makes daily fantasy sports so fun. For being a Dolphins fan, we've got an exciting deal for you. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. And that, my friends, is where you'll go to create your account. And when you use code CLNS, we've got a first deposit match up to $100 for you. Don't worry, putting that link in the comments and the description of today's video, but it's prizepicks.com/CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Listen, the NFL Power Rankings are a lot of fun to get into. They change every week, the highs and the lows of the NFL season. That's what we love about it. But there's a couple of ESPN pundits who have a lot of fun with it. One of them being Stephen A. Smith, and he's got his A-list. And check out where the Dolphins stack up on that A-list. He's got them at number 5. The only team in the AFC he's got ahead of them are the Chiefs, who are also 4-1. Now on the NFC side, of course, you've got the two undefeated teams with the 49ers and the Eagles. And then the Detroit Lions sliding in there at number 4. So that's Stephen A. Smith's A-list. And he's got him at the Dolphins at the number 5 team in the NFL. I got to ask you, do you agree the Dolphins are the 5th best team in the NFL? It's real simple. Type Y for yes or N for no. Let me know in the comments, are the Dolphins the 5th best team in the NFL? I think that's probably a pretty fair ranking. The Dolphins, I'd like to see them continue to take steps forward, and they've got some tough games coming up against the Eagles and the Chiefs, not to look past, of course, both the Panthers and the Patriots. Those are the next 4 games. But point being, I still want to see a little bit more from the Dolphins because it's a get-right game against the Panthers. Then the Philadelphia Eagles, that's going to be a tough one. Sunday Night Football, it's going to be a lot of fun. I believe in the Dolphins in that one. Patriots, obviously the sky is falling there in New England. They're 1-4, but never take any team lightly, especially in a divisional matchup. And then Kansas City, that game's played in Germany, remember. So I think you throw a lot out the window when you're playing an overseas game like that. And obviously the Chiefs have the weapons that they do. It's going to be a fun one. But we've got a fun 4 weeks upcoming, and then it's the bye week. So that's why we've got these 4 games circled before we get to that bye week. And I'm excited to see what the Dolphins have in store for that. Now, the Chat Sports Power Rankings. Let's see where those Dolphins rank there. We've got them coming in at number 4. And I love the Chat Sports Power Rankings because collectively we all vote on them. We average it out. And with the Dolphins at number 4, then again, right next to the Chiefs in the AFC as far as power rankings are concerned. And this one with the Lions at number 5. 4 or 5, either way you slice it, I feel good about where the Dolphins are at right now. But you know who's even higher on the Miami Dolphins? Higher! I mean, we're talking highest of highs. Can you take me high? All right, I'll stop singing. But how about ESPN's Robert Griffin III, RG3 as some people call him? He's got the Dolphins as the 2nd best team in the National Football League. Love that headshot of our guy, Tua Tagovailoa, as well. Niners 1, Dolphins 2, Eagles 3, Lions 4, and Chiefs 5. So a little flippity flop with RG3 there. Love to see it out of him. Good stuff there from RG3. But you know what? It all depends on if the Dolphins can go out and prove it on the field. So the power rankings, yeah, they're fun to talk about, but it's more about what this Dolphins team can do on the field and more about what we as Dolphins Today members can do to support them. How about our Aqua Club? Got to give a shout out to all of those members because you help make the show go. We couldn't do it without you. How do you become part of the Aqua Club, Jake? So glad you asked. It's real simple. It's a $100 super chat. So maybe you're feeling generous today or during one of our live watch parties. We've got live watch parties for every Dolphins game. You don't want to miss them. They're a lot of fun. We do all kinds of crazy stuff. I took a dip in the pool, the Chase Clay pool last week to welcome him to the Miami Dolphins. So subscribe to Dolphins Today so you don't miss any Dolphins news, updates, trade alerts, trade rumors, any of that. We have a lot of fun on this show, and we appreciate your support.